started for more than 6 years now. I've never hauled water in 3 times in a row, but I'm doing that right now. Usually I just grab water once a week when I run to town to ship packages and stuff, and I've never hired anybody to haul in water. And it would have never made sense to haul water in just to fill up my pond all these years, but I have a large enough reserve from rainwater harvesting in the cisterns that I hauled up 1,200 gallons and put it into the pond because it hasn't been raining as much, and I'm topping off the cisterns today, this last load. So it's about to be the hottest part of the entire year, and why not have everything topped off, you know, if I'm gonna do it. So a few days ago I took notice that the pond was really lowering and that there was a lot of algae growth in it, so I put a shade cloth over it and decided to add some water for the first time ever. I've never really understood why people shame other people for hauling water. At the end of the day, pretty well everyone hauls water and they just don't realize it. In the city, most people just turn on the tap and water comes flowing in, and they just assume that they have water. But the truth is that water's piped in from miles away, and if that infrastructure was ever interrupted, they would immediately no longer have water. While somebody who has storage, maybe you've got 10, 20,000 gallons of storage, that would be several months of buffer so that you don't run out of water. So the truth is somebody hauling water might be in a far better position than someone who doesn't. So I guess a couple different things are happening at the same time. Is it just hasn't rained quite as much this year. Usually after monsoon season, my pond will stay full because of rain, relatively full all the way through to the next season, meaning it doesn't dry up. There's still like half a pond full of water, and then it rains and fills again. But it was getting low, and the water gets hotter and it starts growing algae, and I didn't have a shade cloth over it yet, and I decided to first of all cover the pond. I'm gonna put some posts up around it eventually and then put the shade cloth, but for now I'm just covering it just right over the top. So that, with the bog filter in the pump, should reduce the algae growth. And so because I decided to just haul in water and top that off, I brought in 1,200 gallons for the pond. I figured, well, I may as well top off at least the one main cistern too. So that's what today is. I'm just hauling in one more load. This is 3 days in a row I've hauled water. I've never done that. But I just figured, hey, it'd be cheaper than paying to have someone haul it in. I got some time on my hands, and it's just something I can do. And this is approaching the hottest, driest part of the year, so to have a large amount of water set aside is a good thing. Everyone who's ever thought about water, even briefly, understands that water's life. You gotta have water. Food, water, shelter is how people talk about survival. I prefer shelter, water, food, power, and income for building a frugal homestead, but regardless, water's important. Can you harvest rainwater? Yes, so I do. I harvest and store a lot of rainwater. Can I haul water reliably? Yes. So I do. Can I drill a well down the road? Probably so. And so those, that's just the system that's in place right now, and really, it's no less reliable than somebody else pumping water into their city home, and maybe even more reliable, to be honest. In the meantime, I've been able to buy land, pay it off in cash, build a home, permit it, build infrastructure for shelter, water, food, power, income, reduce the need to pay rent or mortgage. I can save a lot of that money now, and then down the road I'll be able to pay cash to have a well drilled. To me it just makes sense. sense. I understand that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm not saying that the way I do things is the right way. It's just the way that I do it, and it might help a lot of other people get ahead. The day I pulled onto my land, I had brought 2 IBC totes. So that's about 600 gallons of storage. And that's how my water system started, was just a couple tanks of water. And within the first month, I built my first shop or shed, 200 square feet. Most places don't require a permit for something that small. And then I just made sure to, roof it with metal roofing and put up some gutters. And I was able to harvest water from both sides. And wouldn't you know, the first time it rained hard, both tanks filled up brimful. And before you have livestock and all those things, 600 gallons is more than a year's supply just for yourself. Gallon a day. So, rainwater is actually a better starting point than a lot of people think. And from there, just add about a half a cup of bleach or chlorine to every 300 gallons. So your IBC tote is 300 gallons roughly. And then that filters out 99% with just a simple water filter. So between the cisterns that I have between both shops, that's 2 3,600 gallon cisterns and a 4,500 gallon pond. It's about 10,000 gallons of water storage, and that's not counting the livestock pond out on the pasture or other sources. For the first several years living out here, I didn't have the cabin and I didn't have air conditioning really. And it is nice to come home. I mean, you're out there when you're trucking it between town and here, you're in the absolute middle of nowhere, and it's the high desert, but it's still like a desert. So it's nice to come home to somewhere comfortable and cool and lots of water, food, and all those things.